Welcome back to the Sustainable Creator Podcast. Today, we're talking about a pretty exciting announcement that Instagram just rolled out. They announced that they are going to be doing signature series as a feature, like its own tab on your profile. So if you're familiar with TikTok does this, at least last I checked, they did. It's just a great way to be able to organize your content where if you are already doing a series, you can combine them all into a folder per se. And so it is still rolling out. We don't have access to it yet.
No.
I'm really curious how many of you guys do. If you happen to be watching the YouTube video of this, I'm going to quickly show you an example of what this looks like. And if you're listening, I'm going to tell you the account that you can go check out. Her name is Mariah. She's a personal finance and financial independence educator. She's amazing. We've gotten to briefly get to know her. We'll leave her Instagram into the description so you can just easily go check her out. But if you go to her profile, you'll see that next to the Reels icon, there is now another icon. I don't even know how to describe what it looks like.
Series.
It's for the series. And she, at the moment of this recording, has 2 series that she has put into those folders. And so if I just click on the one on Roth IRA maxing, then it pulls up a description and you can see all of the videos within that series. And then if you click on one, you're able to watch through it and then scroll automatically to the next one in the series, which is pretty cool.
And they also have a button for continue where you left off. So if you wanted to have a really long series where people watch like the first couple and then they go and do something else and they come back, there's now a thing that will show you this is the place you were in last time you were looking at this series.
Yeah. London has a theory on why they are pushing us. Do you want to share it?
A theory that I've been thinking about a lot recently with Instagram is Meta is famously good at copying other people's features and other platforms' features. And for a long time, we've been seeing that YouTube, their largest viewership is now on connected TVs. And they've been talking about this, and this is why you see YouTube videos slowly get longer, because a lot of people watch YouTube sitting on the couch now on TV, basically as TV. And it is making Netflix scared, which is why they're paying YouTubers now. And if you look at this trend, Instagram has a TV app now, which is weird to me. But at the same time, they're looking at this is the consumption behavior and you need longer form content in a serialized format. And this is a really great way. If I was a product designer at Meta thinking about this, I would absolutely want to people are already doing series on Instagram. Why can't we just make it so it will autoplay through all of these so that someone can choose one thing and watch an hour on their TV, and then we can put ads in between that because it's Meta. But I think that they've been telegraphing this for a while, and so it's just interesting that they're now rolling out the features, and Meta likes people to use their new features.
Yeah,
which is why we're going to talk about today. How do you think about creating series, and what are ideas if you've never created a series before?
So yes, if you guys have the feature already, highly recommend starting to use it because that's going to be fascinating. And today, Lyndon and I brought 5 categories each. Well, technically, we have 1 category that is the same. So it will be 9 categories with a couple of signature series ideas in each. And we're just going to go back and forth, share some so that you guys have ideas to be able to run with or give you other ideas that are more applicable to your industry, area of expertise, interests, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So do you want to go first or do you want me to?
I think you should go first.
Okay. I didn't know how to categorize this first one. I'm just calling it storytelling. And all of these examples will be specific to entrepreneurs in some sort of way. But I have 2 ideas that are similar but in different settings, and I'll explain. So the first one is CEO Campfire stories. And the way that I envision this is sitting around a campfire and it's nighttime and you're telling some type of story that might be high stakes and really dramatizing it a little bit. I think that would just be really fun. You could involve multiple people if you wanted, where you're kind of going around the campfire and people are exchanging stories, or it could just be one person. So if you had a backyard fire pit, that could be really fun and very easy to just utilize. I think a lot of us have multiple stories that have happened in our business that don't always reach Instagram, and oftentimes for good reason. But if you go back into the history archives for your business, there's probably some that you may be more comfortable sharing within reason, and those could be really interesting.
I think the interesting question that I would have, like doing this one specifically, is like, what is the visual cue that ties this together, or like the red thread that ties this series together? And like in my mind, I see like a fun set piece. Like even if you have like a little campfire graphic that you use on these, so that it's like visually tying the series together.
Yeah, good point. So the second one is called Business Bedtime Stories. And the way that I envision this is you have a corner of your house that has a sofa chair, a lamp, it's dimly lit, and you could have a prop as like a book, as if it was a book that you were reading, but you would be sharing business stories almost in lullaby format. So I don't even know how to give examples on what stories like that could be. It could be, I don't know. Maybe that just gets some ideas rolling for you guys, but I feel like that would also be a really fun take on it that could do pretty well. I feel like it has some good potential.
So was that your last one on
That was
storytelling?
my last one on storytelling.
So the first category that I had was challenges. Like this has been a staple for a long time, and I have seen a number of versions of this. Like the one that I'm thinking about is treadmill blackout. Like it's a like fitness thing where it's basically like he made a chart of like incline and speed and made a grid, and he's trying to run a mile at every combination. And so it's just like a challenge of like, will he be able to do this? And every piece of content in the series is exactly the same. And I think what's really great about it is it's such an easy to understand format, but people keep coming back to it because they want to know if he will be able to do it. Mm-hmm. And when I think about this from a business point of view of like ways you could turn this into a series for you, like in the creative space, I think like when you think about people like learning photography, they would do challenges of like, what if you took all of your pictures that had something red in it? And so like you could do like a color series if you're a photographer of like, this is a reel of red photos, or this is like blue or green. And even it'd be like pulling from your portfolio of like, these are photos that I've done that have this color. And so like, it's just like a color series or something like that. Or it could be like a challenge. Like if you have an audience that really likes dogs and you're a designer, I think it could be fun doing like rebranding dogs. And so like, each episode in the series is like, this is how I would brand a pug if I was rebranding them, or this is how I would brand an Australian Shepherd if I was doing this. And so like, what's the type fonts? What's the colors? What's the like brand messaging statement? And like, it's a very like novel way of showing people your branding process. So like you walk through it of like, this is the ideation phase, this is this. And if the overlap is there where other people like dogs, like it's just like a fun Trojan horse into this is how I work as a designer as a series. And I may have watched some of those series in other contexts, which is why I was thinking of this.
That's funny. Did you have more, or that was it for that category?
I think the other one that I had in this one, which could be pretty difficult, is I was thinking about copywriters. Like if you had a series, which is like, I'm going to write sales copy without using the letter
something. I do like
and so
that.
Like this week it's like I'm gonna write sales copy without using the letter A, and then like the next week without like, using the letter B. And I think just the fact that it's challenging, and if you had some way of like, if you think of the hero's journey in this of like, what's the conflict? Where are you really struggling? Do you have a clip of like you pounding your head on the counter trying to figure out how to write sales copy without the letter E? Because there's some of these letters that would be really difficult to do, but I think if you could tell that story really well, it'd be such a fascinating series to use.
That would be a fun
one.
And
I would probably watch through a lot of them just because I'm terrible at spelling.
That's a great one. I could also see that being for names. Like if you are really good at naming offers or programs or what have you, you could do something similar with choosing a letter and then coming up with a name based on that letter. Mm-hmm. That could be fun too.
And I think it's just like such a good like simple construct of like, you're going to go through the alphabet A to Z. There's 26 ways you can do this, and some of them are easier than others.
I love that. Okay, my turn.
Mhm.
All right. So the next category is finance, and I have 5 in this one. Clearly, finance is on my mind these days. So the first one is called debt diaries. So there's a lot of people I know have these big financial goals, which sometimes means making more money, saving money. Other times it means paying off. And I think for those in that boat, it would be really interesting to do a series on how I am paying off X amount of money. And you walk through how you're taking advantage of your credit card benefits, or how you might be raising your prices, or how you are learning sales strategies, or just like what are all the little things that are helping you pay off whatever amount. And I love alliteration, and so the name that came to mind for that signature series was Debt Diaries, because it's just really easy to remember, and I think it's fun. I also just love watching stuff like that. I find it really inspiring and very cool. The second idea was messaging people until I make X amount of money. So almost the inverse of that. If you have a money goal that you want to hit, it could be you're going to message people until you hit that goal. You're going to talk about your offer until you hit that goal. You know, fill that in with whatever action you want to take. I think that would make for a really fun mini series, because you would have to continue the series until you hit that goal. And then people are so invested in that journey with you.
It's also like a really great way of mobilizing your audience.
Right.
Like if they're invested in your goal with you, you'll start getting suggestions on, hey, you should be messaging these people because you'll have a higher chance of succeeding over here than what you're doing right now.
Yes.
And so like it's a great way of like mobilizing them to learn or help you on your challenge.
Correct. Okay, another idea was Rich Girl Roundup. Could also be Rich Boy Roundup. I don't know, Rich Roundup, whatever you want to call it. But I think the idea that I had for this is it could be financial hacks. It could be this is little things that I see as luxury, or ways I made my money work for me, or accessories that make me feel rich or help me build a rich life. You could go a number of ways with that. And Roundup implies that there's going to be a couple of different things, and that could be fun, because I feel like once you get into that world, you start to peel back even more that there is. Yeah.
The way my brain immediately goes with that is like habits I'm stealing from rich girls.
Oh, I like that too.
Which I think could be really interesting.
I do like that. That's great. Okay, this next one I thought of on my way to the library, and I literally laughed out loud for like a solid minute. Mommy money. I think
so many directions you go with this.
So the idea, because I know there's a lot of mom business owners in our audience. So my idea was you have this series called Mommy Money, where it's about how you are making money as a business owner who is also a mom. And that could look like messaging clients. It could look like posting content. You could go so many ways with it. But if that verbiage is your vibe, please do that and send it to me. I think it would be hilarious and fantastic.
My brain mentally goes to the set pieces of like kids with like either Monopoly money or like the cash registers or the ice cream stand things of like.
I mean, maybe
not. I don't know, but that's where my brain went.
Yeah. Okay. So the last one is That's What She Sold. So again, another play on words, but it would be, what were the things that you are selling and how did you sell them? So the way that I think about this is like pairing the results of, hey, I just sold XYZ offer. This is how I sold it. So how many emails did you send? How many follow-ups? What did the script look like? What was the call to action that led them to the sale? Where did you meet them? How long was it until you made that sale? I think it would be so interesting to dive into some of the data points and just see the ins and outs of what selling is actually like. And for anyone who is either a sales expert or just wants to share more of their business process, I could see that being a really fun series.
Also, I just love a good sales funnel walk of like, this is exactly what the sales funnel looked like. And if you're wanting to position yourself as an expert, you can give commentary of like, here's other ways this step could have worked as well.
Yeah.
Or like, this is industry norms for conversion rates or something like that,
yeah.
Which I think is really interesting.
Okay, your turn.
I didn't know how to categorize this. It's either adventure or uncovering, depending on how you position this. If you go back to, I think it's like episode 11 or 12, we interviewed Bell Grub, and the premise of that interview is like she had just moved to Salt Lake City and she connected with a ton of local businesses because she was wanting to like spotlight Salt Lake City on her socials. And like, so she's ended up partnering with a lot of local businesses by lining these up, and they're kind of effectively a series. You should listen to that episode. It was really good. But if I think about that from a like, how do you make a series for yourself of like highlighting different things? I think an interesting version of this could be like, if you think about like what your niche is, how do you make a series highlighting businesses that are doing things really good inside of your specialty? But from the perspective of why are they doing it so well? So it's kind of like a micro case study almost type thing. So like if you're a designer, it's like, I really like this website because I'm obsessed with their buttons. And this is why, because this is the psychology behind it. Or it could be like, as a photographer, this photographer is doing super cool because I nerded out on the fact that I can tell from their photos they're shooting on like an 85 mil instead of a 25 mil, and that just makes their portrait sessions look so much better. And like, you get to go down the rabbit hole of like, I'm an expert here, and this is my space to be a nerd and tell you why I'm good at what I do by highlighting other businesses that are doing it really well. Hopefully that made sense. I think the other thing with that is, if you wanted to turn this in an education component, if you are doing a form of education, like you can highlight things, and then the back half of this series is how you can do it too. Mm-hmm. And so if someone like us as a coach, we could do a series like this of, this is a business doing this, and this is how you can apply this component to your business right now. And so it could be a series around like, since we just talked about sales funnel, like you could reverse engineer other businesses' sales funnels that you're seeing externally and like tell people how they can apply this to themselves in like one easy tip. Because you can't make a super complicated educational thing in a series, but like if you do one tip at a time, once they scroll through the whole series, they'll see you as an expert.
Yeah, I like that. That's a good one.
That was it. That was all I had for that one.
Okay, back to me. All right, so the next category I have is business. I have two. The first one is, you know how people will make a wedding registry or a baby registry, or I don't know if there's graduation registries, but...
Oh, there is.
Yeah. So what if you did a series called What I'm Adding to My Business Registry this week? And it gives you a chance to be able to share the things on your wish list as a business owner, which has a sneaky effect because it does two things. One, it shows people what they also might want to invest in for their business. But two, it gives people ideas on what to gift you for upcoming things. And so I think it could just be a fun idea. Like if that fits within your wheelhouse, like if you review tech, like that would be great too. So you could make it sync even more.
So the nerd in me that wants to make this interactive is based on tools available right now. I think it would be very easy to vibe code a ranking board where people could like vote on which things should be highest on your wish list as a business. And so it can be now like, people can go to this thing on your website.
Yeah.
Then they vote on what should be highest on your ranking list. And while they're there, they might also see some other things.
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, the other play that you could do is if it is things that you're adding to an Amazon storefront and you're listed as an Amazon influencer to get a kickback, then that would be a great way to be able to, you know, make it work for you too. So yeah, that's cool. The other idea I had in this category was build it or burn it. The idea I had was this could be a version of Deal or No Deal. So if you are someone who is a business consultant, or I don't know if there's any angel investors listening to our podcast, how cool would that be? But if, let's just say you're a business consultant, and so you pay attention to what makes a great business model or what makes a business really successful, you could have people in your audience pitch you their business ideas, and then you would basically review it as, I would build it into a proper running business, or I would burn it. You could also say ditch it. I just, again, love alliteration. And again, explain your reasoning for which way you would go. So would you go for it because you see that it would be profitable and it's got great marketing in place, or would you not go with it because of other reasons? I think that would be really interesting.
And I think there's data that backs up that this is an interesting thing because I just signed up for an email list that is basically this. I think it's called Half Baked, where it's basically like they take ideas from the internet and they're like, this is what could be a business if you wanted to build this.
Well, there
And
you
like
go.
every day they send out a new one with like 3 points of why it would work and 3 points why it wouldn't.
Oh, that's fun. Very cool.
And I think it's a fascinating thing. And they have a section in there of like, is this a real business? And I think the one today was goldfish tank backpacks. And they're like, is this a real business? Is it not?
That's funny. Okay, your turn.
The next one I have on my list is how I would.
Mm-hmm.
And if I go back to Craft and Commerce, one of the speakers on stage was Gannon, and he basically like he does ManyChat, and one of the things he was like is I grew really well because I started doing a series of if I was the ManyChat person for
so
and so, I would do it like this. And it was basically, I think he said when he was starting, it was basically him by a whiteboard and just mapping it out. Super simple, showing his brain on display for the world of how he, as an expert, would solve this problem for a well-known name. When I think about this for like our businesses, like what if you take it as like, I have dream clients. What is your stretch dream client? And just start doing public math about their business. So like if you are a brand designer that would love to, like the classic one you see is you would love to work with Coca-Cola. This is how I would do their Christmas campaign this year.
I love those.
It doesn't mean that you will necessarily work with Coca-Cola, but a lot of other people look at those.
Yeah.
And they drive a ton of traffic. And also it's just so fun to see how people build that. And the magic here is people buy based on trust at this point, and doing things like how I would shows your process and how you think about things. And so, yes, it's super fun seeing how things are built. Like there's a whole side of the internet of like the maker world, and people love to see how things are built. But the step after that is people then invest in those because there's a trust that you know what you're doing because you're showing the process and you're not just asking ChatGPT to vibe code the end result and you don't actually know what happens between contract and delivery. And so like how I made it is such a fun series, and you can turn this into so many different things of like, I talked about Coca-Cola. This could be like styled sessions for photography. This could be like, I don't know why I'm still stuck on this like letter copywriting thing. But like there's examples that you could make this specific to you, specifically like looking at like, if I was going like, since I'm on copywriters, if I was going to rewrite the sales page for this person to increase conversion, this is the blocks I would change specifically. And then you kind of like walk through that, or there's a whole version of these, but like choose someone slightly above your league of your normal clients so that your normal clients will want that better product.
Love it. Very cool. Were there more in that category?
That's all I had for that category.
Okay, cool. Next up, reporting, because I think you said this was one of your categories, and so it gave me another. So this is the shared category. The only one I have written on this is Taco News Day. So are you noticing a theme? I like play on words. So obviously you take Taco Tuesday, you make that your weekly day that you report on news in whatever category you want. So this does not have to be traditional world news. It could be if you are a social media manager reporting on marketing updates that happened in the social media land that week.
That's exactly how we got on this.
It is. Exactly.
I sent Joelle a reel about series being a feature that was launching.
Correct.
Because someone else was doing this type of series of new features.
Yeah. So anyway, you could do a fun spin-off on that, make it whatever direction you wanted to, specific to your industry, of course, like make it make sense. But that could be really fun, especially if you are the kind of person who loves tacos and your audience does as well. Then you are integrating the personal brand aspect into your area of expertise. And that is a pretty great combo in my book.
I think for me, I don't necessarily have a specific idea like tacos, which I now want.
You're welcome.
But if I'm looking at like major trends right now, like over the last couple of years, we've seen that like people are now getting their news on social rather than from news organizations. And like it's famously like news organizations are actually struggling to get eyeballs at this point because so many people are just going to their favorite creators because they trust them over a big organization at this point. And if you think about yourself from a business point of view, if you can become the go-to for a thing that is like, I'm filtering through everything that's happening in this realm, and I think these are the most important things for you to know this week for your business. And so you get to A, report the news, B, give your critique on what's important, and C, you're just reinforcing your own expertise. So the second they are ready to make an investment in what you do, they're going to think of you because you're the person they turn to learn about what's happening inside of your area of expertise. And I think like there's a couple of examples of creators that do this really well. And I also think about like a whole genre of podcasts is like the weekly update, where it's just like, these are the things that happened and we're going to sit and talk about it. And this could be like a fireside chats thing where it's basically just, or it could be like green screen series. There's a whole way of thinking about this, but I think it's a genre of series that's underappreciated because it does such a good job of making you an expert. And also, you just don't have to plan the content. It's just like what you're consuming already on a daily basis, learning as you are an expert. And then like you just have a note on your phone where you write down the ideas and you get to the day you're creating this. And it's like, these are the 4 ideas I'm talking about this week. And that's this week's episode in the series.
I love that. Very cool.
And it's basically recreating news.
Nice.
Okay. So my next category is one that we have seen a lot and people have been doing a lot. And I think this is just a way of making it fit into this, which is the idea of building in public. Like we've talked about this over and over, but now you can turn this into a specific series. And if I think about something that is fascinating to me, is this is not a new concept. When Disney launched Disneyland, like 80 years ago, they built in public. Like they paid for Disneyland in California because ABC paid for a TV show around building a theme park that they created weekly episodes videoing the progress of building a theme park that culminated in the final episode was broadcast live on opening day. And I think they ended up building all of Disneyland in like 11 months, which is mind-boggling to me. Don't quote me on that. I might be wrong slightly on the stats. But they built in public and it drove so much demand for people after that. Like it was the event of the year was Disney opening. And I think it may have been one of the most watched events live up until that point in history. Granted, TV was relatively new. And it was just interesting that they created hype by making this a thing that people were tuning into. And when I think about creating a series like this, if you were going to be building in public, like how do you create a theme for each of the episodes? And so if I was thinking about building a new offer or iterating something, I would probably think about it of like the theme of this is like, maybe this is brainstorming names and you have the whiteboard with all the names on it. And then you might have like, this is how I'm developing the ICA for this. And so you do some form of process for that. And then like you could have a market research episode. You could have a marketing plan or a marketing strategy episode. You could have a like beta testing episode. You could have like the launch strategy and then like a launch recap and then like the onboarding. And like each one of them is the next step in the process of building something that when I go back to rewatch is really interesting to go through. Like here was step 1, step 2, step 3. And this is an interesting bingeable piece of content, especially for someone interested in that product or offer. Even if it happened a year ago, you've just created a binge list of now someone understands your whole thought process going into it. And it can just live on your Instagram that people can go back and look at and you can reference it in your sales pages now.
Yeah, that's cool. That's a good one.
I think it's just interesting of like taking something that we already know works incredibly well and just fitting it to the new tools.
Yeah. I love that. Okay.
What's your last one?
Okay. The last one I have is on marketing. So 3 ideas here. The first one is marketing makeover. I don't feel like that's like entirely creative, to be honest, because, but it's, you could do, it's basically what you were talking about earlier, where you look at a brand that may have branding you don't necessarily love and you make it over in your own way. A title for that could be marketing makeover. The second idea is launch and learn. So if you are someone who is a launch expert or loves to nerd out about launch strategies, the way I'm picturing this is maybe you have a whiteboard or you have your laptop set up with some PowerPoint slides with your lunch nearby. And the other thing is, if you want to take this a step further, you could even do this as a live during lunchtime for anyone to tune in live and see you walk through different, which I know kind of breaks the series format. But what?
I'm not sure if you can make that a series, but I think you could make it a cut down that you turn into the series.
Yeah.
So like you do live, like you record live in front of an audience and then you cut
Correct.
it to content for the series.
That could be fun. I think that's fun. And obviously a spinoff of Lunch and Learn. Launch
also, then you
and
can
learn.
do the thing that all the sitcoms say, recorded in front of a live audience.
It's true. The last one I have is Not Your Mother's Marketing. So this is another play on words, of course, obviously. There's a hair brand called Not Your Mother's. Not sure if anyone knows that. I'm sure plenty of people listening know that. But if you are a marketing strategist and you have some outside of the box ideas, you can either have people submit their industry or the offer, and you can give your marketing pitch and with your creative flair to it, which could ideally lead to some leads for you that then they would want to actually hire you to run that campaign. Very fun. We love that for you. Or you could take the other method that we have talked about a few times here, and you take a pre-existing brand or product that you really love and you create a unique marketing campaign for them, which could then put you in front of bigger brands if that is part of your goal. So that's the last idea. Did you have any other ideas, any other categories, or did we run through them all?
That was all the categories I had.
Okay.
I am sure you're feeling overwhelmed at this point because there's like 15
so yes,
things we've covered. You don't have to do them all.
Obviously, the idea of this is that if you like heard an idea that you think, ooh, I can see how that would apply to my business, run with it. Do it, have fun with it. The thing with series is they are meant to be fun. It's play. If you do one of these ideas, please send it to us so that we can see, because that would be so freaking cool. I do have a couple of honorable mentions so that if you guys want to see some actual series that are happening in real time to give you even more inspo, there's two in mind that I think are really fun. The first one is Katie, who runs Katie Creative Co., is doing a series called My 7 to 2 or 7 to 12, like that first time changes depending on her hours. But it's My 7 to 2 as a girl without a 9 to 5. So since she runs her own business, she will go through and do snapshots throughout her day of everything that she, I mean, it's outside of business too. You know, it's like her outfit, it's what she's eating, it's her watering her garden. It's also the work side. And so it's a really cool spinoff. Not spinoff, but it's just like a really cool idea. And I'll link that for you guys in the description so you can go check it out. And the second example that I wanted to give a shout out is one of our coaching clients actually just started a series called Elementary School Hotline. And her area of expertise is she works with parents of elementary students to really make sure that they have all the information that they need to support their kid really well. And she has started this series, which is really fun, where she pretends to answer this hotline on an old school telephone, and she'll be talking to the parent on the other line and answering their question, but then she breaks the fourth wall where she will speak to the camera and she'll tell you what question they just asked, and then she'll go back to answering them, and then she'll break the fourth wall again and explain why she just gave them that answer. And so it's a really cool back and forth option that I haven't seen before, and I'll link that one for you guys to go check out as well.
I think the last thing I'll say is you don't necessarily have to wait until you have the feature to start posting series.
Correct.
Because we, Joelle, did a series leveling up your life, her life, your life.
Leveling up my life.
That is a perfect candidate for this. Like when we get the feature, that'll probably be one of the first series that we just go in and label as episode 1, 2, 3, 4, because like they already exist. We already created the series. This is just a feature that Instagram is rolling out to put a category and put them all in one place. And I think one of the things, like, especially with our coaching clients, we've been talking about this a lot recently, of like, as Instagram moves further away from just showing your content to your followers and it becomes like a much more algorithmic feed, series has become a really good way to tie people between content now
Yeah.
because they want to come back for the next one versus they're not necessarily paying attention to who they're following anymore.
Yeah.
And so we've been encouraging people to do series for a while. And I think it's really interesting to see that now series are getting a home in one place to watch them all together instead of like how creators have been cobbling together of like, come back for part 2 as like huge text on the end of series for a while. Now there will be a button where it's just like, go to the next one.
I have been waiting for this feature for years. So I am very excited that it is finally coming, and hopefully we get access to it soon so that I can take full advantage of it. All right, well, that's a wrap. Thank you guys for listening all the way to the end. Like I said, if you had any of these ideas really spur some extra, you're like, I'm going to do that, or gave me another idea, please tell us about it. We would love to hear, and just watch it. That would be really fun. Otherwise,
if you have offshoots on these and you have series ideas, I would love to hear those because I love going down the series rabbit hole.
Yeah, it's very fun. All right, thank you guys. We will talk to you next time, and appreciate you. Bye.